Hey everybody, Mighty Moose here with a quick tutorial for the GX Pump CS4-I. Had a couple questions in the comments about the manual, how to use it, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I would put together a real quick and dirty explanation of the basics. So, first thing, you need to figure out where your power input is going to be from. In this case, I'm going to be running off of AC 110. You can also run it off of a 12-volt battery, like a car battery or something like that. If you're doing the car battery, you're going to plug that in right down here beneath the AC 110 and then connect red to red, black to black. Easy peasy. And then you're just going to flip the switch over to DC 12 volt. In this case, because we're going off of AC, alternating current, we're going to flip it over to AC and you'll hear it kick the fan on there. So I apologize if there's going to be the fan in the background since we're actually running it, but I'll try to talk loud. Hopefully it works. If not, I'll dub it over. So obviously you've got your off button, your start, and then your fill port, your hose right here. You're going to want to connect that to whatever gun you're shooting. This is the Umarex Gauntlet 2 side lever. As you can see, our gas is pretty low. We're just at about 1,000 psi right now. So you're going to want to take this. How this works is just like kind of similar to a regular air compressor, where you're going to pull this down to connect that, and it's going to connect to the little nub over here on your gun. So you can see that little nub right here. You're just going to take your hose, pull that back, push it on, push that nub forward. Now it's attached, it's nice and firm. If you can pull it off just like this, it's not attached properly, so make sure that's on there firmly. Okay. Next, we're going to change the camera angle a little bit and show you the safety features. Okay, so we're here looking at the top of the pump. Right here is your gauge. You can see it's currently set down at the bottom, and you can see that I have my safety, these little red arrows up here that you can move with this. This is set to where I want it to stop. So my first one is set at 250 bar, my second one is set at 300 bar. These will both stop it from filling. So you see this little part right here that's moving? You push it down, and then you can slide these little arrows. So when this needle right here reaches that point, it will stop. And then this is like a backup one that's there. I imagine it's largely there for peace of mind, because I've never had it even reach, like, go past the first one. It always stops. And I've never had an issue with the auto stop not working on any of these pumps. You also have a burst disc, so in case it does get to really high pressures, like say for example you set this way too high, this burst disc will blow and release all of the air before it causes some kind of catastrophic malfunction. So I have had these go off on guns. I've never had it go off on the compressor, but I did have a gun that I overfilled once, and the burst disc on the gun, which almost every gun, air gun, if it's a decent air gun, is going to have a burst disc, will blow before it does anything crazy like explode your tank. This is your grease pot. This explains how to use it, but basically after 4 to 6 hours, you just give this a little turn, and it'll introduce some more grease into the cylinder to keep it running well. Basically, if it starts to run slower than you're used to, just give it a little turn. It'll introduce a little bit more grease and help it run smoothly. But again, the instructions on here, the stickers, all that are made in certainly understandable English, and largely, you know, it's well written, it's well designed. So, just quick overview. We have our hose firmly connected here, hose firmly connected here. We open our bleed valve. This should be open, not off, but loose. You know, it'll go in and it'll go to where it stops. That's tight. You don't want that to start. Open it a little bit, make sure that's loose. That will make it so that the system doesn't start under pressure, okay? Have it set to AC. We're plugged into 110 volt. Again, make sure, I guess I didn't mention this before, but make sure this is set to the right one, 110 or 220 volt, whatever your system is. And then make sure that your needles are set up correctly. Now, notice, this outer ring is bar, this inner ring is PSI. So don't get those two mixed up. And then this is your coolant tank. Be sure that this is topped off. I honestly just put distilled water in it, but you can put a pH neutral. Okay, so last we left off, I was about to start the compressor and it all died. So rather than cut that out of the video and act like it never happened, I figured it would be a good time to dive into the guts of this. But that first part of the video still functions as a good tutorial. we're just going to take a minute to dive into the guts of the compressor and show you what went wrong in that instance. The nice thing about these compressors is they're actually pretty easy to take apart. They just have the metal case around them and then all of this stuff inside. And in this case, what happened is one of the connectors on the PCB board down here just came loose. So I just tightened the connectors there, and I also tightened these two connectors that are going directly to the power supply, and this one right here. I don't know exactly which one of those it was. I think it was probably one of these that had the switch going to it. And now it appears to be up and running again. So I'm going to throw the cover back on it. The cover does act just as like a secondary protection because, you know, all of this is going to be under pressure, a lot of pressure here in a moment, and it just puts a nice steel shield between you and it. But you can see, you know, you've got your water lines and everything. And the nice thing about these compressors, in my opinion, one of my favorite things at least, is it's all very modular. So like, even if your power supply does go bad, you can get a replacement power supply. You can get, you know, new fittings, new hoses. All of these are very simple standard connections, many of which you could probably find at Home Depot or wherever your local hardware store is, and the rest of them you can certainly get off of Amazon or even contact the seller. I've had issues with this one where I've had to get spare parts, but I have with other models from the same Amazon seller or from the GX pump who white label these, and they've always been able to send me the parts and haven't had issues. So I'm going to put it back on and we will continue with our tutorial, but hopefully that's a good little piece of insight for you guys. Okay, and we're back. So, a reminder, have your needle set to the correct pressure, bar or PSI. Don't exceed that of the gun or you're going to blow a burst disc. Have it set to AC if you're running AC, DC if you're running DC. Battery connectors down here at the bottom, then your regular wall outlet. 110, US is typically 110, Europe is typically 220. Your off switch, and go ahead and hit start. Now, once it's starting, you'll hear the air hiss from your open bleed valve. Go ahead and close that, and the air will stop. Now, you can just come up here and start watching your needle go up. Okay, and you can see that it stopped right at our needle there. Here, let me move the safety needle out so you can see there's our pressure needle. Now, after it's run and your gun is full, first thing you're going to do is release the bleed valve. It will be loud. Now there's no pressure in the line. You can see how it went slack. Just go ahead and disconnect your gun. If you've been filling a really big tank and it's been running for quite a while, I would recommend leaving it on for a little while. Just so that the fan can cool and the water will keep pumping. But again, this is just a small gun. It only took a couple minutes, so I'm not worried about that. But that's all you have to do. Just make sure you undo the bleed valve, disconnect it, and you're done. So there's the CS4. Hopefully this has been informative. Everything that I just did is the exact same when you're using DC power, except again, you would disconnect that, plug in this. You can tell I have not used it because I have not unwound the little zip ties. Let me see here. Yeah, plug that in, and then you'd connect that to your battery and switch that to DC instead. So there you go. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I try to be very responsive. And please use my link that's in the description below to purchase this. It helps me to fund the channel and just keep me going. So thank you very much.